Hello and welcome to Lucid Mind. This is Majid and today I'll be solving IGCSE Chemistry Multiple Choice Paper 13 from October-November 2020. You can go to any particular question by following timestamps given in the video description. Let's start.
Question number 1. The movement of a substance varies slowly from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. Which process is being described? Now, movement from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration is called diffusion. A liquid being frozen. Now, this is state change. It is not diffusion. B. Solid melting. Again, this is also a state change from solid to liquid. It is not diffusion. So A and B are incorrect. C. The substance diffusing through a liquid. Now this is an example of diffusion. For example, ink when put in liquid water, it starts to diffuse. In D, a substance diffusing through air. This is also an example of diffusion. For example, perfume spreading in air. Now we know that in liquid, the molecules have less movement as compared to the air, because in air, the molecules have very random motion and very fast movement. So in liquid, diffusion will be slow as compared to the diffusion in gases, which will be very fast. So correct option is therefore C. Question 2. When a dark gray solid element is heated, it changes directly into a purple gas. Which word describes this change? A is boiling, and boiling is from liquid to gas at boiling point. So A is incorrect. B is evaporation. Evaporation is also from liquid to gas, but it can occur at all temperatures. So B is incorrect. C is melting, and melting is the change from solid to liquid, and it occurs at melting point. So C is also incorrect. D is sublimation, and sublimation is the conversion of solid directly into gas without going through the liquid state upon heating. So D could be correct. So a dark grey solid is iodine, which converts into iodine gas upon heating. So the answer is D. Question 3. Nickel 2 sulfate is green solid that is soluble in water. Which method is used to obtain a pure sample of nickel 2 sulfate crystals from a mixture of nickel sulfate and sand? A. Heat the mixture with water and distill it to give nickel 2 sulfate. Now upon distillation, liquid will be removed and nickel sulfate will still be present with the sand. So this is incorrect. B is heat the mixture with water and leave it crystallize. Again, the sand is present, so therefore it is not purified. C. Heat the mixture with water and filter off the nickel sulfate. This is not possible because nickel sulfate is water soluble. D. Heat the mixture with water, filter and allow the solution to crystallize. Now upon filtration, the sand will separate and then we can crystallize the remaining solution. So D seems to be correct option. The answer is therefore D. Question 4. In the chromatography experiment shown, which label represents the solvent front? Now solvent front is the distance traveled by solvent from baseline. As D is the baseline, so the distance traveled by solvent front would be this much. The answer is A. Question number 5. What is the meaning of the term nucleon number? The term nucleon has evolved from nucleus, which consists of protons and neutrons only. A. The number of neutrons in the nucleus of an atom. It is not the neutrons only, it is also protons, so A is incorrect. B. The number of protons in the nucleus of an atom. As it is not only the protons but also neutrons, so B is incorrect. C. The total number of protons and electrons in the nucleus, as electrons are not present in the nucleus, so C is incorrect. D. The total number of protons and neutrons in the nucleus of an atom. This is true because both are present in the nucleus and both combine to give the nucleon number. The answer is therefore D. Question 6. The diagram represents the structure of a solid. What could the solid be? Among the given we have brass, which is an alloy. As we can see in the diagram that there are one type of atoms that are in white color, while this is of different size. So it could be an alloy because in alloy we have mixture of different sizes. So it could be A or B. Second is graphite. It is not graphite because in graphite layered structure is present. Third is sodium chloride. In sodium chloride positive and negative ions are present. So therefore it is not sodium chloride. The answer is therefore B. Question 7. Magnesium reacts with sulfuric acid. What are the formula of products formed in this reaction? As magnesium is a metal, so metal reacts with sulfuric acid to form salt and hydrogen gas. Salt will be magnesium sulfate and gas will be H2. A is magnesium sulfate and hydrogen. This is correct. B is magnesium sulfate and water. Water is not formed. C is magnesium sulfate 2. This formula is incorrect. Again the formula is incorrect in D. This is because the charge on one magnesium atom is +2 while the charge on sulfate is -2. So when they combine, opposite charges cancel out and the formula becomes MgSO4. The answer is therefore A. Question 8. Which diagram shows the arrangement of outer shell electrons in a molecule of water? The formula of water is H2O and two hydrogen atoms are making single covalent bond with one oxygen atom. Now the element hydrogen has 1 electron in the outermost shell while oxygen has 6 electrons in the outermost shell as it belongs to 6th group in the periodic table. In A, we can see that there are 2 electrons present in the outermost shell of hydrogen, which is not possible. In B, again we can see that 2 electrons are present in one atom of hydrogen, which is not possible. In C, we have 1 electron of hydrogen, which is correct, and 6 electrons are present for oxygen, which is also correct. In D, we can see that 1 electron of hydrogen is present while 2 electrons of oxygen are present, which is wrong. The correct answer is therefore C. Question 9. Rubidium is in group 1 of the periodic table and bromine is in group 7. Rubidium reacts with bromine to form an ionic compound. Which row shows the electron change taking place for rubidium and correct formula of rubidium ion? As rubidium is present in group 1 of the periodic table, so group 1 is metals and metals lose electron to form ionic compound. As it is in group 1, so it will lose 1 electron, so rubidium atom will convert into rubidium +1 along with the loss of 1 electron. So the charge on rubidium will be +1 and 1 electron is lost. So it could be C or D. and it is C. So answer is C. Question number 10. Which statement explains why graphite is used as a lubricant? A. All bonds between the atoms are weak. As in graphite, each carbon atom makes 3 single covalent bonds with other carbon atoms. So the bonds are strong, they are not weak. B. It conducts electricity. Now, graphite does have free electrons, therefore it is a good conductor, but this is not the reason for it to be used as a lubricant. C. It has low melting point. Now graphite does not have low melting point, its melting point is quite high. Layers in the structure can slide over each other. Now this is a true statement because in graphite, carbon atoms are present in the form of layers and only weak forces of attraction are present between the layers. Therefore, layers slide over each other, and due to this sliding, it can be used as a lubricant. The answer is therefore D. Question 11. The relative atomic mass of chlorine is 35.5. When calculating relative atomic mass, which particle is the mass of chlorine atom compared to? Now whenever we are taking relative atomic mass, it means that it is compared to an atom of carbon, which is taken as 12. So A, B and D are incorrect. Only correct option is C. Question 12. Molten sodium chloride is electrolyzed using inert electrodes. Which row shows the products formed at the cathode and anode? In molten sodium chloride, we just have two types of ions. One is sodium positive and second is Cl negative. As sodium positive is cation, so it moves towards cathode and it will gain one electron to convert into sodium product. Now chloride is anion and it will move towards anode. At anode, oxidation will take place and chloride will lose its electrons to convert into chlorine gas. So we have sodium at cathode and chlorine at anode. The answer is therefore D. Question 13. Ethanol is used as a fuel. We can see the statement ethanol reacts in the presence of oxygen to convert into carbon dioxide and water. Which statements are correct? Number 1, the reaction is endothermic. Endothermic means that the reaction absorbs energy, while the combustion of ethanol is exothermic as energy is also released. So 1 is incorrect. 2, the products have more energy than the reactants. As this is an exothermic reaction, not an endothermic, so therefore the energy of product will be lower than the reactants. So 2 is also incorrect. Three, the oxygen for this reaction comes from the air, as combustion takes place in the presence of air, so this is correct statement. 4, the temperature of the reaction mixture rises during this reaction. As the reaction is exothermic, so heat is released, so therefore the temperature of reaction mixture will also rise. As correct options are 3 and 4, therefore answer is D. Question 14. Hydrogen and isotope uranium-235 are both used to generate electricity. Which term describes the change that occurs for both substances in this context? A is combustion. Now hydrogen can combust in the presence of oxygen to release energy. That energy could be used to generate electricity, while uranium-235 does not combust. So A is incorrect. B is endothermic. Now combustion of hydrogen is exothermic, while uranium isotope also releases energy in nuclear reaction. So it is not endothermic, it is exothermic. C is exothermic, as energy is released both in hydrogen and in uranium nuclear reaction, and that energy could be used to make electricity. So therefore C is correct option. D is decomposition. Decomposition means breaking. This is not true, as hydrogen does not decompose. The correct answer is therefore C. Question 15. Which substance does not require oxygen in order to produce energy? A is coal. Now coal is made up of carbon, and carbon requires oxygen in order to produce carbon dioxide and energy. So A is wrong. B, we have hydrogen. Again, hydrogen requires oxygen to combust to produce water along with energy. So B is also incorrect. C is natural gas, which is CH4, methane. It also requires oxygen to form carbon dioxide, water, along with energy. So C is also incorrect. D is uranium, and uranium can produce nuclear energy without the need of oxygen, as this involves only the disintegration of nucleus. So therefore answer is D. Question 16. When calcium carbonate reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid, carbon dioxide gas is given off. This causes the reaction mixture to lose mass. 4 separate experiments are performed. The starting mass, the mass after 5 minutes are measured for each reaction mixture. In which experiment is carbon dioxide produced at the greatest rate? Now rate of reaction can be described as amount of product formed in a given unit of time. Or it could also be expressed as the amount of reactant lost per unit time. We have starting mass, which is at 0 minutes, and then we have mass after 5 minutes. So 5 minutes is the time that is consumed in total. The greatest loss of mass will show the highest rate of reaction. The loss in mass in first experiment is 14.37 minus 11.89 grams, which comes equal to 2.48 grams. B is 16.52 grams in the start and 15.29 grams at the end. So the mass lost is 1.23 grams. In C, we had 16.76 at start and 14.12 after the reaction. So the mass lost is 2.64 grams. In D, we had 16.99 grams in the start while 15.21 after the reaction. So the mass lost is 1.78 grams. As all the masses are lost in 5 minutes, the correct answer is therefore C. Question 17. Silver oxide reacts with magnesium to make silver and magnesium oxide. This is the chemical reaction. Which substance is oxidized in this reaction? A is magnesium. As we can see that magnesium has gained oxygen. So the gain of oxygen is called oxidation. So it could be true. B is magnesium oxide. As this is one-sided reaction and magnesium oxide is a product, so therefore it is wrong. C is silver. Again, silver is the product that is formed. It is also incorrect. D is silver oxide. We can see that silver oxide has lost oxygen to form silver, so it is reduction. The correct answer is therefore A. Question 18. When pink crystals of cobalt-2 chloride are heated, steam is given off and the color of the solid changes to blue. What happens when water is added to the blue solid? This is the reaction. So we have pink color on the reactant side and blue color on the product side. When water is added to the blue solid, the reaction will move backward and pink crystals will be formed again. So the color will change to pink. Now forward reaction is endothermic as pink crystals are heated. So therefore the reverse reaction will be exothermic in nature, and in exothermic temperature increases. The correct option is therefore B. Question 19. Which oxide is used to neutralize acidic gases in a power station? A is calcium oxide. Now calcium oxide is basic oxide, and basic oxide can neutralize acidic gases, so A could be correct. B is carbon dioxide, as carbon is a nonmetal and nonmetal oxides are acidic oxides. So acidic oxide cannot neutralize acidic gases. Similarly, C is nitrogen oxide, and nitrogen is also a nonmetal oxide which is acidic oxide. Again, it cannot neutralize acidic gases. D is sulfur dioxide. Sulfur is also a nonmetal, so nonmetal oxides are acidic in nature. So again, it cannot neutralize acidic gases. The only basic oxide is A, calcium oxide. Question 20. Period 3 of the periodic table contains the elements from sodium to argon. Element Q is a non-metal from this period. Which statement about Q is correct? We can write the elements with the atomic number from sodium to argon. We have sodium with 11 atomic number, then magnesium 12, aluminum 13, silicon 14, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, and argon. A. It conducts electricity, as Q is a non-metal and non-metal does not have free electrons, so it does not conduct electricity. B. It has lower proton number than sodium, as we can see that in the start we have metals, then we have non-metals. So as proton number is increasing from metal to non-metals, so therefore Q must have higher proton number than sodium. So it is also incorrect. C. It has electrons in only 3 shells. As Q belongs to period 3 of the periodic table, so period 3 means that we have 3 electron shells. And this is true for all the elements of period 3. So C is correct. D. It is malleable. Now this is the property of metals, because only metals are malleable as they can be converted into sheets, while Q is a non-metal, so therefore it is not malleable. The correct answer is therefore C. Question 21. Equal masses of solid X are added in turn to an aqueous solution Y. The pH of solution is measured after each addition until the pH becomes 7. The readings are plotted as shown. We can see the These are the points. On y-axis we have pH, and we can see that the pH increases, so acidity will decrease. On x-axis we have additions of x. So when x is 0, it means that the solution was acidic. As the pH was below 2. Let's look into the options. In A we have X as copper solid and Y as HCl. As we know that the reactivity of copper is less, so therefore copper solid does not react with dilute HCl, so A is incorrect. B is magnesium solid as a metal and HCl as acid. Now magnesium can react with dilute HCl to form salt and hydrogen gas. As we can see that when X was 0, the solution was acidic. It means that the solution could be HCl. It cannot be sodium hydroxide. So magnesium can also neutralize HCl, so therefore the correct answer is B. Question 22. An aqueous cation reacts with aqueous sodium hydroxide to form a white precipitate. The precipitate is insoluble in excess sodium hydroxide. What is the aqueous cation? A is aluminum ion. Now aluminum ion makes white precipitate with sodium hydroxide aqueous, and it is soluble in excess of sodium hydroxide. So it is not A. B is calcium ion. Calcium ion also forms white precipitate with aqueous sodium hydroxide, and the precipitate is insoluble in excess of NaOH. So it could be B. This question is actually from the identification of cations. C is chromium ion. Chromium ion forms light green precipitate with aqueous sodium hydroxide, and it is soluble in excess NaOH. So it is not C. D is zinc ion, and zinc ion makes white precipitate with aqueous sodium hydroxide, and again it is soluble in excess. So it is not D. The correct answer is therefore B. Question 23. Vinegar has a pH of 3. Which statement about vinegar is correct? Now pH of 3 means that vinegar is acidic in nature, so it will give all the properties of acid. A. It forms a salt with sulfuric acid. Now acid cannot react with acid to form salt, so A is incorrect. B. It reacts with some metals to form hydrogen gas. Now acid can react with metal to form salt and hydrogen. So B is correct. C. It reacts with ammonium compound to give ammonia gas. Now this is true for alkalis or bases, but not for acids. So C is wrong. D. It turns red litmus blue. Now this is wrong because acid turns blue litmus to red. The correct answer is therefore B. Question 24. A student carries out an experiment to prepare pure magnesium sulfate crystals. The diagram shows the first stage of the preparation. He adds magnesium carbonate until no more reacts. Which processes should he use for the next stage? In the reaction, he uses magnesium carbonate and sulfuric acid. The product formed will be magnesium sulfate plus water plus CO2. As in the reaction he uses magnesium carbonate until no more reacts, it means magnesium carbonate is in excess. So in order to remove the excess of magnesium carbonate which is unreacted, he must do filtration as the next step. The answer is therefore C. Question 25. Which statement about the halogens and their compounds is correct? Halogens belong to group 7 of the periodic table and they consist of fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine and astatine. A. The color of the element gets lighter going down group 7. Now this is false because the color will get darker as we move down in the group. B. The elements get less dense going down the group. This is also wrong because the elements get more dense, and fluorine and chlorine is gas, then bromine is low boiling liquid and iodine is solid. C. When chlorine is added to sodium iodide solution, iodine is formed as chlorine is above bromine and iodine. So it means chlorine can reduce iodide into iodine. The reaction will be like this: sodium iodide plus chlorine. Sodium chloride is formed along with iodine. So C could be correct. D. When iodine is added to sodium bromide solution, bromine is formed. Now iodine cannot displace bromine because it is less reactive than bromine as it is below in the group. So D is wrong. The correct answer is therefore C. Question 26. Which compound contains a transition metal ion and a halide ion? Now halide means it is from halogens which is in group 7 of the periodic table, so it should be fluoride, chloride, bromide or iodide. The first one is iodide, then we have fluoride, then oxide. Oxide is not a halide ion. Similarly, chloride is a halide ion. Now looking at the metals, we have aluminum. Aluminum belongs to group 3 of the periodic table and it is not transition element. Calcium belongs to group 2 in the periodic table and again it is not a transition metal. C is iron 3 oxide. It is transition element but oxide is not halide ion. D is nickel 2. This is also a transition element and chloride is a halide ion, so therefore D seems to be correct. Question 27. A flammable gas needs to be removed from a tank at an industrial plant. For safety reason, an inert gas is used. Which gas is suitable? Now, inert gas means gas that is unreactive or noble gas, and in periodic table, inert gases are present in group 8. A is argon. Argon is a noble gas and it is also inert in nature. B is hydrogen. Hydrogen is highly flammable, so it will burn. C is methane. Methane is also a compound which is highly flammable gas. D is oxygen. Now oxygen is also incorrect because it helps in combustion process. The correct option is therefore A. Question 28. A substance X has the following properties. Number 1. It has high melting point. Number 2. It conducts electricity in solid and liquid states. Number 3. It is malleable. Number 4. It has high density. A is a ceramic. Now a ceramic has a high melting point, but it is a bad conductor of electricity. B is copper. Copper is a metal and metals have high melting and boiling point. Good conductors in solid and liquid states. They are also malleable, which means they can be made into sheets, and they also have high density. So B could be correct. C is graphite. Now graphite also has high melting point. It can conduct in solid and liquid form, but it is not malleable. D is sodium chloride. It has high melting and boiling point, but sodium chloride is bad conductor in solid state as the ions are not free to move. The correct answer is therefore B. Question 29. A metal M is between sodium and magnesium in the reactivity series. Which reaction occurs with M and its oxide? Let's first draw the reactivity series from sodium to magnesium. We have potassium, sodium, calcium, and magnesium. Then we also have aluminum, and these are more reactive than carbon. You should also know that reactivity decreases down the series. First is that M reacts with steam. Now as we know that magnesium can react with steam to form magnesium oxide and produce hydrogen gas. So as metal M is between sodium and magnesium, so it means it is calcium. And calcium is more reactive than magnesium, so it will react with steam to form hydrogen gas. Second is that M can be extracted by heating its oxide with carbon. As we know that carbon is less reactive than these elements, and so carbon cannot reduce metal M. So the reaction will not occur. The answer is therefore C. Question 30. Mild steel and stainless steel are two alloys containing the element iron. Which row identifies a use of each alloy? We know that mild steel is hard and strong material, while stainless steel is also hard and it is also rust proof. In mild steel, 99.7% iron is present, while 0.3% carbon is also present. In stainless steel, we have 70% iron, 20% chromium, and 10% of nickel. A is car bodies and food containers. Now we know that mild steel is hard and strong, so it is used in car bodies, and it is not rust proof, so therefore it is not used in food containers. Stainless steel can be used in cutlery as it is hard and rust proof, but it is not used in electrical wiring as copper is used in wiring. The correct answer is therefore A. Question 31. Coke, which is carbon, and limestone are two raw materials used in the extraction of iron from hematite. Which type of reaction occurs when each substance is heated during the process? We have carbon and limestone. Limestone is calcium carbonate. When carbon is heated, it reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide, and again it reacts with carbon dioxide to form carbon monoxide, while calcium carbonate decomposes to give calcium oxide and produces carbon dioxide gas. First reactions are for coke. we have redox and thermal decomposition. As we can see that carbon atom has gained oxygen, so it is oxidation. While similarly carbon dioxide has reduced because it has lost one oxygen, so it is reduction. As both oxidation and reduction have occurred, so it is a redox reaction. It is not thermal decomposition because carbon is an element and element cannot be further decomposed. Second is limestone, which is calcium carbonate, and calcium carbonate decomposes to form calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. This decomposition is in the presence of heat, so therefore this is thermal decomposition. This is not redox because the oxidation state of calcium has not changed. Similarly, the oxidation state of carbon is also the same on the reactant and product side. The answer is therefore B. Question 32. Oxides of nitrogen are given out from car exhausts. Which row best shows why oxides of nitrogen are unwanted in the atmosphere? First option is acidic and second option is toxic. Now we know that in engine what happens that nitrogen can react with oxygen to form oxides. As it is a non-metal oxide, so non-metal oxides are acidic in nature. And this is also toxic because it can dissolve in water to form acid rain. So nitrogen oxides are acidic and also toxic. The answer is D. Question 33. Two reactions P and Q produce carbon dioxide. P is the conversion of glucose into carbon dioxide and Q is the conversion of sodium carbonate into carbon dioxide. Which type of reactions are P and Q? In P we can see that glucose is converting into carbon dioxide. Now this results in the presence of oxygen as glucose converts into carbon dioxide along with water and releases energy. Now this type of reaction is called respiration. Second reaction is conversion of sodium carbonate into carbon dioxide. Now this can occur in the presence of acid. For example, if we have HCl, it will convert into sodium chloride along with water and release CO2 gas. Now HCl is acidic in nature and as the reaction proceeds it converts into neutral compounds, so therefore this is neutralization. The correct option is therefore C. Question 34. Which gas is used as a food preservative? A is methane. Methane is CH4 and it is neutral gas. B is fluorine. Fluorine is F2 and it is also neutral in nature as it does not dissolve in water. C is oxygen. Oxygen is neutral. While D is sulfur dioxide gas, as sulfur is a non-metal and non-metal oxides are acidic in nature, so this is acidic oxide or gas. Now sulfur dioxide kills bacteria and prevents the growth of molds. So therefore it can be used as a food preservative. The answer is therefore D. Question 35. Which calcium compound does not neutralize an acid soil? Calcium oxide is a metal oxide and it is basic in nature, so it can neutralize acidic soil. B is calcium sulfate. Calcium sulfate cannot neutralize acidic soil. C is calcium hydroxide. It is also basic in nature. It can react with acid to form salt and water. D is calcium carbonate. It can also react with acid to form salt, water, and carbon dioxide. So it can also neutralize acid. Only B cannot neutralize acid, so therefore answer is calcium sulfate. Question 36. Petroleum is separated into fractions by fractional distillation. Separation occurs in fractionating column. Some properties of 3 of these fractions are shown. Which statement is correct? A. Fraction 1 has higher boiling point range than fraction 2. As we can see that in fraction 1 the number of carbon atoms in chain is less as compared to fraction 2, which is 16 to 24, so therefore the boiling point will be lower. So A is incorrect. B. Fraction 2 is removed from a higher point in the fractionating column than fraction 1. In fractionating column, as the gases move towards the top, the boiling point decreases, so does the temperature. It means that fraction 1 will be removed from top position as compared to fraction 2. So B is incorrect. C. Molecules in fraction 3 have shorter chains than those in fraction 2. As we can see that the boiling point of fraction 3 is less than fraction 2, so it means that molecules in fraction 3 would have shorter chains than in fraction 2. So this statement is correct. Shorter chains produce low boiling point as compared to longer chains. D. None of the fractions are liquid at room temperature. As we know that from carbon 1 to 4 we have gases and above 4 we have liquids, so fraction 1 is a liquid. So D is incorrect. The correct answer is therefore C. Question 37. How many atoms are there in one molecule of ethanoic acid? The formula of ethanoic acid is CH3COOH. So there are 2 carbon atoms, 4 hydrogen atoms and 2 oxygen atoms. So in total we have 8 atoms present. The answer is therefore C. Question 38. The flow chart shows the preparation of ethanol and some important chemistry of ethanol. What are X, Y and Z? The first process is fermentation. Now we know that glucose can be fermented in the presence of yeast to form ethanol. And ethanol can also be used as a fuel. So in fuel, what happens that combustion of ethanol takes place and it forms carbon dioxide along with water vapors. So substance X is glucose, process Y is combustion, and substance Z formed is water in the form of steam. Correct answer is therefore B. Question 39. Which substance is not a fraction obtained from fractional distillation of petroleum? A is ethene. The formula of ethene is CH2 and CH2. It is a very small hydrocarbon and it is obtained by the cracking of naphtha. So A is not obtained by fractional distillation, so A could be correct. B is fuel oil. Now fuel oil is obtained from petroleum by fractional distillation. Similarly, naphtha is also a product of fractional distillation of petroleum. and refinery gas is also obtained by fractional distillation of petroleum. So ethene is the only compound that is obtained by cracking of naphtha instead of distillation of petroleum. Question 40. Some plastics are non-biodegradable. What is meaning of the term non-biodegradable? The meaning of the term non-biodegradable is that it cannot be broken down by natural processes. The other options are incorrect. Therefore, answer is D.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Stay tuned for more upcoming videos. Stay happy, take care.